Hi, I'm Levi, and I'm building a crystal portal. This is the Crystal Portal Podcast, where we talk about crystals, Moldavite, spirit guides, sacred geometry, intuition, quantum energy, and all things metaphysical. Find something special for your spiritual journey. Shop online at moldavitejewelry.com to support my work. Let me introduce myself. My name is Levi, and about 12 years ago, I went on a path to know thyself. Now, at the time, my mom had recently passed away, and I began looking at life a little bit differently, very introspective, because once you realize that both of your parents are no longer on this earth, you begin to look at things a little differently. Begin thinking about what they achieved, what they didn't achieve, what they wanted to do and did not do in their lives. And it really made me want to seize the day, carpe diem, and do something that if there was something I wanted to do, I didn't want to wait. So for me, that was to live off grid. So I made a concerted effort to live off grid, and I found a more or less bootstrapped, found a camper. Was living out there for about 2.5, almost 3 years in a camper with no power, no water. And it was really just an extraordinary journey with a lot of very magical moments out there underneath the stars and some other shenanigans during the day with the wildlife. I'll leave it at that. So I'd done a podcast, again at the time, it was the Off the Grid podcast. And this was, again, I didn't realize it, but this was a journey to know thyself. And about halfway through, close toward 2/3 of the way through, I was meditating more. And being out there underneath the stars, away from the concrete jungles of suburbia, it's very peaceful. And it's almost like you can breathe. That was the thing that kept coming to mind at the time. Was we got out there and it was just like, it was like that. And I was researching various ways to meditate, astral travel, which led me to Moldavite. 1 second here, get my handy dandy piece of Moldavite out so I can show you all here. So this is the second piece of Moldavite I ever bought. And this is the one that kind of started it all in a way. Now, I'd heard about Moldavite. I was hearing some extraordinary stories. It sounded like something out of a movie, but I had to experience it for myself. So after about a month or so, I finally found a piece at a local crystal shop there in Virginia Beach. And this piece right here, a month after buying this one, I started creating jewelry out of the blue. And it was a very prominent step on this spiritual journey, the Moldavite experience, however you want to call it, that led me to where I am today in the stage of building the crystal portal. So a month after buying this piece right here, I began creating jewelry, and not only any jewelry, it was Moldavite jewelry. So I began what at the time was a hobby, which led to a small business, and I began creating jewelry with Moldavite, whatever minerals I could find in crystals, natural form, mostly wire wrapping. And so I would get home, at the time I was delivering pizzas during the day, I would get home and I would put my little headlamp on, and I would make jewelry until about 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. I would get up next day. If it was sunny out, I would take pictures out there in nature of the jewelry I created the night before, and then I would go and put them up online. And so it was more or less a hobby that I really enjoyed. And so working with the energy of Moldavite, I began experiencing what people say about it as known as the stone of transformation. And the reason is because it's said to usher in a lot of change after you begin working with it. Increased synchronicities. You begin meeting people that you wouldn't otherwise meet. I began going to various psychic shows, psychic fairs, took Reiki 1. And so it really accelerated my spiritual path, my spiritual journey in life. And it really was an extraordinary time for me. So I can vouch for the Stone of Transformation and what it does. So the journey of Moldavite led me here to Asheville, North Carolina. In 2020, the world went through a pandemic, and what I refer to as the perfect storm for Moldavite, because it's a Moldavite, it's found in the Czech Republic as a result of a meteorite impact, one place, one time on Earth. And so there is a digging season for Moldavite, meaning the ground freezes over for a good portion of the year, and they can only get out there and dig during certain times. When the pandemic hit, everybody was in their homes. They were paying attention to social media. And so someone's video went viral almost overnight. So you had demand that went through the roof. Supply got shut down because nobody could go out there and dig Moldavite. Prices went up 5x in 1 year. So if you can imagine a piece that you would normally buy for $20, you then had to pay $100. And so it really was, again, it was the perfect storm for it. So my business, being Moldavite Life, it primarily centered around that stone, was able to ride that wave really well. I started the Moldavite podcast when I got into Moldavite, and I was really excited, right? Just like everyone else, when you get a piece of Moldavite, it sounds like something out of a movie, but it's legit. So I started the podcast to share my experiences and my journey with this new Stone of Transformation. In 2020, I had this almost a vision in my mind to create a pendant. For about 6 months, I wanted to create this piece, but did not have all the parts and components, meaning it required a piece of Mars meteorite and several other meteorites and stones. And it is this right here. This is what I now refer to as the channeling pendant. So those of you that are watching on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever, this is the Mars meteorite right here. A number of other meteorites and minerals, including Moldavite. That was, what I did not realize at the time, was a major component and a step on this journey that is creating a crystal portal. And 2021 is when I actually created that pendant. 2022 opened up a retail shop here. And so opened up a small crystal shop. I was still primarily doing business online. It's more or less the bread and butter. And my employee at the time was sorting through a box of Fulgurite, which is, this right here is a good example. So Fulgurite is fossilized lightning. So lightning strikes the earth, it more or less solidifies instantly whatever the soil, the silica-rich soil is made of. And here's another example. Again, if you're watching the video, this is a hollow piece. Now the hollow pieces of Fulgurite are hollow because they say for a split second, energy that vaporizes a portion of the center portion of the Fulgurite is hotter than the surface of the sun. Don't ask me how, but the scientists say it's so. Anyways, so my employee at the time, he was sorting through this box of Fulgurite, and he said, you know what would be cool? If you created a beaded door with this. Follow and subscribe to hear what happens next.